You can open up and just receive. Just what he's pouring out is nothing you've ever seen. So hello peace, hello joy, hello love, hello strength, hello hope. It's a new horizon. Hello peace, hello joy, hello love, hello strength, hello hope. It's a new horizon.
It's a new horizon, folks. There's always hope and infinite possibilities, and we will propel that tonight with my deep dive guest, Ashlee Branstetter. But before we go and invite Ashlee to this stage, I'd like to share a little bit about what the Propel Deep Dive is. Today, I did my 4th day of the Propel 5-Day Challenge. And I'm so excited about that, guys, because I have been building this program for 2 years. And so it's never too early or too late to create something and to propel it out to the world. And so as I was building this Propel program a couple years back, from putting together basically for you programs to start, scale, and sustain the business and life of your dreams, I knew quite frankly, and we were just talking backstage, that I didn't have the skill set or the training or background to then take it to you, to propel it to you. So through prayer and just waiting on God for the right timing, he connected me with Angeline Moore and has been helping me put all of these programs. I mean, I have it basically together, but I needed to be taken to you. So as we were preparing for this, I said to Angeline, why don't we, from a branding position and an introduction and education, why don't we do it in pieces? Why don't I do a daily encouragement and inspiration word? And so I called that the Propel Daily. And then I have a segment on Clubhouse, BWC, Breakfast with Champions, on Tuesday. So I said, you know what, I'm going to invite someone in, instead of me just pontificating my 5 points and this and that, to bring someone in and share their hearts with you. And so that I call the Propel Weekly on BWC. And I started this Propel deep dive back in February, and it was just me. And I was doing each week this the 5 C's. Well, February only has 4 weeks, so I did the last 2 courage and confidence together. But as the month was going by and people were enjoying it, I said, you know what? I'm going to bring in, like I used to do with my Unique Leaders Live podcast and live on YouTube, I'm going to bring a guest in. So that's when I decided to shift again and evolve again and have my guest with me on BWC in the Propel Weekly, and then again on Thursday night with the deep dive of one of the C's. And so each, 5 weeks we rotate it, and this week is courage. So this C, courage, Ashlee and I explored on Tuesday, and speaking about, her life and what she's doing and a little bit about her history. We love juicy history and knowing about a person and what's making them tick. And so we started the Propel Deep Dive on Tuesday. But tonight we go a little deeper. We go into a little different direction. And then also, because this is on StreamYard, you guys can come in. So if you have that desire, great. If you want to post questions in the Propel Facebook group, great. If you don't have time to visit with Ashlee and I tonight, just know you can go to the Megan DiMartino YouTube channel and find all the Propel programs. They're there. Also streamed into LinkedIn, over on to Clubhouse in the Propel House, as well as a Facebook in the Propel Business Room. So, but without further ado, so that's the background to this. That's the why of this. And I'll share a little bit later about my 5-day challenge and what that was all about. So, and is about. So, without further ado, I invite you to meet my friend and our guest this evening, Miss Ashlee Branstetter.
Hi, Megan.
Hello, my love. Good to see you tonight.
You too. Thank you for having me.
It's just, well, as I said in that intro, I'm always exploring. I'm always evolving. I mean, I've been doing that, as you know, with my skincare brands and my luxury day spa and medical spa. But as I've shared with all of these C's, these are my non-negotiables, Ashlee, to really start, scale, and then sustain a business and life of your dreams. Because again, I say this all the time, without a life, that business is just a job. So there is that synergy together and that balance together. And I invite people on that I have observed that they have that synergy. Because this is not about me. This is not about the Propel program. This is about you, and it's about our guests, and it's about helping people to see and navigate what you've done, what you do, what you continue to do, because nothing stays the same. Nothing. We're in perpetual motion. An object in motion will stay in motion. Object at rest will stay at rest. So Sir Isaac Newton through Glenn Lundy, he says that all the time.
It's so funny. I tell my kids that all the time too. Yeah. Like, I need to just keep going, because if I sit down, then I'm stuck there.
Yeah, I mean, we do have to take a break and take a rest, but you're right. It is about continuing on, and those next steps to you, but you have to start. So let's just recap a little bit, because as we were talking in the green room before we came on, how Angeline has not been to any of the EYAs, and so she didn't know any of your history. Mm-hmm. So let's just recap essentially a little bit about you grew up in where you then were a shining star, had some question marks, a few of those things that led you then to the tumblers, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So, I always tell people, I will never forget 2nd grade, my teacher telling my mom that I was a star and I was like going to be on TV and all these things. And my mom was like, yeah, we know, like we already see that. And just constantly my mom would say, you have a light, right? She just all the time, she's like, you have something. And, I would do like pageants, things like that, and win that. And my teachers all saw it. And so I really grew up like knowing I could be anything I wanted to be. I mean, it was instilled in me from the moment, I was born. And then, in junior high, things kind of started to shift a little. I started to kind of get bullied a little bit, made fun of, just simple things though. But once I got to high school, going in my freshman year, there was this rumor about me before I even got into the school that was just horrific. And it had spread like wildfire. I mean, we live in a small town and every person in the town knew about this thing. And I just remember thinking when I heard about it, I was like, I don't even know what that is. Like, it's so above over my head. I don't even know what that means. But it was everywhere. And so, no one wanted to be friends with me. No boys wanted to hang out with me. It was just really hard. And the older girls, specifically like the seniors, would just constantly throw threats at me every day and just be on me, every day and saying things. And so my dad would take off work early, come pick me up, take me home, make sure I was safe. And it got better as my high school career, went on, because a lot of the older girls left. There was one girl that was 1 year older than me. So I had to deal with that until I was a junior, right? It was really difficult, but it kind of got better. But I lost that light. It was gone. It was out. With the rumors flying around, I thought, if people are saying this about me, I'm just going to be this. And so I really did turn to the sex and the drinking, because I figure, I mean, might as well have fun. I'm being called these things, and these things are being said. I'm just gonna let loose. And so it was really, really difficult in high school, and college really changed things around for me, which was great. But the entire time I had a rock in my mom, and she would just instill in me that there was a light, and that I was meant for more, and that I can't let this small town get to me. She would always say, they just don't get it. They're from, you're bigger than the small town. It's okay. You're going to use this one day. And I'm in high school. So I'm thinking, you're my mom, you have to say this, right? And it was just really hard. But I mean, there were so many nights where she would just hold on to me, and I would cry to her, and she would just remind me that God has a plan, and that, I'll get through this. And so she really got me through everything. And like, if I didn't have her, I don't know where I would be today. And so she was my rock, and she saw in me something extraordinary that I didn't see. And so, like I said, through college, things got better. My husband and I got married shortly after college. And then we found out we were pregnant with my first daughter. We planned to travel and stuff, so the pregnancy was super unplanned. But I think that there's a reason for that, and why it happened. And so about 3 months into my pregnancy, with Carrington, my now 14-year-old, we were living in North Carolina, about 18 hours from my mom, and she would call every day. We talked every day. She was my rock. She was my best friend. She was everything to me. She had a light, and it always amazed me, and so when she would tell me I did, I was always like, what? Like, no, like there's no way, but she called, and she asked for Brian, and I handed the phone to Brian, and I thought she was going to throw me a surprise party for being pregnant. And I looked at Brian's face, and it was just, I knew it wasn't a surprise party. And he handed me back the phone, and she told him to do that because she knew, it was going to be really hard for me to hear this. And so she said, Ashlee, I have stage 4 colon cancer, and I'm not going to be okay. It had spread to her liver by then. And I just felt like I just crumbled. And I think what made it even harder was just, we had watched my mom's best friend just go through stage 4 cancer. So I instantly knew what this looked like, what it was going to take. And I packed up everything and I moved back to Illinois, away from my husband. So we spent the first few years in different states. And so about 2 years in, she did great for the first couple of years. I mean, we really thought she's beating this. The doctor gave her 6 months, and she lived almost 3 years. And so that, that was crazy. I mean, only God, right? But the first 2 years, she was doing great. And after that second year is when things kind of took a turn, and it got really difficult. And I was like a nurse for her, since I had come home. I had Carrington by this time. She was 2. So I'm taking care of Carrington. I'm taking care of my mom. And, I watched this woman who had such a light turn frail and lose her hair. And there was just a lot. It was just a lot. And in 2011.
Let me ask you a question. Let me stop for a second. Let's just go back for 1 second before we go on, because your mother's passing then really is the gateway to that next phase in your life. But looking back on because I've been pondering all week, since we chatted, about, and you said it earlier, Tuesday, and you said it again today, the older girls. So I was with someone this weekend who's an intercessor, a prayer warrior, and she has a lot of warfare against her. And she said a statement. She said, I know why this always happens. She made a statement like that. And I said, yeah, because they're jealous.
Yeah, my mom used to say that she's like, babe, they're jealous. And I'm like, what? That's crazy. You can't comprehend that as, a high schooler. I'm just thinking, everybody hates me. What am I doing wrong?
Yes, your freshman mind, your experience and lack of, and so forth. but it's that jealousy that they see the light, and that dark cannot deal with the light, and so it's wanting to diminish or put it out. And so as you share and continue on, but the thing that I want to illuminate tonight for everyone, because everybody has a story.
Yes.
And everyone has gone through difficult times and continues to. It doesn't matter on what level, it really doesn't. It's about how, and that's that courage, how you approach it and how you deal with it. So quite frankly, Ashlee, if you had not been tested, meaning if you had just been this la-di-da, star, and not had that testing, you would not have this understanding, today. You'd be some obnoxious person in Hollywood or something like that, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Right. And so or wherever, but the point is that challenge built your courage, but it built your awareness and also your sensitivity to other people.
Yeah, 100%.
Meaning, I'm talking about people that you encounter today, because people go through things and hide their light, so to speak. But I've watched you. You are a master at and we'll get into the tumblers in a minute, but you're a master of helping others illuminate their light. So
thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I know, it's funny because people ask me all the time, like, you got bullied by women. Why do you have retreats for women? Why do you have coaching for women? I'm like, I don't know. I just feel so called to it because I know I'm not the only one. I also have forgiven them. And if they were to come to one of my retreats today, I would welcome them with open arms and, and treat them like I would anybody else. I have forgiven all of them and moved past that. And, I see Carrington, which you got to, meet at EYA, has gone through some things. And I tell her, it's like Taylor Swift says, people throw rocks at things that shine, right? They just do. And so if you've got rocks being thrown at you, it's because you have a light in you and people are trying to diminish that, just like you said. And so, that's what I always tell the Carrington too. So.
And then we'll get into Carrington a little bit because I saw her post, which was magnificent. So just magnificent.
That is also getting lots of rocks thrown at it right now, though.
Sure. Oh, it's going to exacerbate the rock. I mean, they're just slinging up their arms. Yeah. But yet she has, again, back to you, Mama. She has you to see. She hears these stories. She knows these stories. She could share these stories. Yeah. And so at some point she will integrate these stories, to her own story. But that nothing is wasted in the kingdom of God. Nothing.
That's right.
Nothing. So anyway, so back to your mom.
So in 2011, right before Christmas, I called hospice. I'll never forget because my mom was so mad at me for doing that. She felt like I was giving up, but I just knew, I looked at her and she fell one day and I just knew. And so, hospice came in and we got to spend Christmas with her, and that was really tough. I purchased everybody in the whole family all their gifts because she had forgotten. That's a whole other thing. There was just a lot, right? And it's hard to watch someone that has such a light turn into a shell,
Yes.
And on December 28th, I spent that night every 2 hours giving her morphine. And then early in the morning on the 29th, I kissed her head and she passed away. And so before she passed, she told me a few days before, because the couple days leading up, she really was just a shell. It was really hard. But she told me 2 things. She said, always have faith. And remember, Ashlee, you are meant for more. And I was like, okay, I promise, right? I promise. And so once she passed away, I was really angry with God for a long time, but I had promised her I'd always have faith. So I was juggling, right. Am I this angry to where I want to give up on my faith, or am I going to keep my faith, but just be angry? And what I kind of realized was I can have my faith and still be angry. I can still have words with him. He can handle that. And we've had many choice words, but I've kept, I promised my mom I'd keep my faith. And so I did. And I have a Bible that was given to me, while she was sick, and it stayed at my bedside. I didn't really open it because I was really mad. I didn't want to give in to anything. But it was there. And I still believed in God, and I still believe that, God had his hand on me. And I guess I didn't even want him to bless me because I was mad, but one day throughout this, right, it was like years later, we had 3 girls, and I want people to know I was content, right, but I wasn't living to my full potential. I was very much playing the victim card. My husband is special forces. He was gone a lot. He actually left. We buried my mom on the December 31st so we could start the new year fresh, and he left on January 2nd for 6 months without getting to talk to him. And so it's just been, it's been that, and so I was very good at playing kind of the victim card to myself. Like, I can't start my own business because my husband's gone, and I don't have this, and I don't have that. And kind of letting my circumstances define me for a very long time. But I had 3 beautiful girls, great husband. Like, I was content. I just wasn't living to that full potential, right, that my mom had told me about. And one day I sat down to do our bills, and we had negative $54 in our checking account. And whatever, I don't know why, because we had seen a negative number before. I'm not going to lie to you guys. We have seen a negative number before. We've actually seen a negative number after, right? But something about 54, I was like, I'm done. I'm done living this way. I'm tired of this paycheck to paycheck. And I got on my knees and I cried, and I was like, okay, God, okay. What is it? What is it you want me to do? I have had faith in you, even when you took the one person. Like, why are you not showing up? What do I do? And I felt like it was the first time I had heard his voice audibly tell me to go all in on my side hustle. And so I was making these beautiful glitter tumblers for family and friends. They were stunning. They're still stunning. But I didn't want to do that. I kind of was like, God, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be in production. I want to do something that matters, because my mom told me I was meant for more. Why would I want to make glitter tumblers? But he's like, do you trust me? And so I was like, I mean, I guess I'm going to have to. Like, I didn't want a full-time job because my husband was gone so much. It's just too hard on my kids. And so I went all in. I gave it everything I had. I had one turner. I'll never forget. I went downstairs. I made a beautiful tumbler. And like I said, I had been making them for a bit. And I put it on sale on my Facebook page for $54. And I got that $54. And then I did another one. And then I did another one, right? And so it started to take off. And I had this idea to go live and show people how I was making them, and then sell them live, do live sales. And I started doing that. My Facebook grew super rapidly. It was crazy. I still have that very first live. And I share it sometimes at EYA because it's such a cool, to look back on, because the very first live, I said, God willing, I get 20 people on here. That was one of the things I said. And like, by the end of it, I would have like 2,000, like, it was just a crazy thing. But yeah, I was so excited that I sold out that first night, which was really cool. But I started selling out, and I started going live all the time, and just doing the cups, just doing behind the scenes, and then selling them. That was like what I was doing. And so I was growing this massive business. And one night I was doing behind the scenes, I was glittering the cups, and someone got on and said, how'd you do this? Like, how'd you get started? And so I started to tell them about how I can make anything with my hands. It is my natural talent. It is my gift. I can literally make anything, y'all. And instead, I was like, I felt God again. I felt this God prompting in my heart to share the negative $54 story. And so I shared it, and I cried. I cried so hard. I looked crazy, I'm sure. It was a lot of emotion, sharing it for the first time and being live doing it. And I came upstairs. My husband's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I totally ruined my business. They're not going to see me as a businesswoman. This sucks. I was, up until that point, it was strictly business on lives. And And so I went to bed, and the next day I woke up to so many messages from women saying, like, you inspired me. How'd you do this? Can you help me? My Facebook page had grown, and that was just like a light bulb moment. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I can teach these women. I can help these women, because it's not a hard process to do. This is an easy thing to learn, right? It takes some time, but I can show them how I built my page, and I can show them how I make these tumblers. And so I started DIY Club. I had a ton of women in that. I took some of those women, I put them on my Facebook page selling cups. And I remember people thinking I was crazy for that. Everybody's like, well, why would you do that? They're your competition. They're going to take your people. And I just remember thinking, one, I never wanted to be in cups. Remember, I never wanted to be in production. And two, I felt this like need to believe in abundance, to like really say, I'm going all in on this abundance thing. And believing that there's enough for everyone. And so I had these women on my page. Many of them quickly hit 6 figures. I was able to step back completely. I haven't made a tumbler in over a year. So, I got to step back completely, but I still, throughout all of it, kind of felt like there was more. And though I loved what I was doing, I loved coaching the women.
There was more. And so let me now interject. Basically, at that point in time, COVID happened, Clubhouse started, and I'd been a rising grinder for like 3 years or whatever. Glenn sends an email saying, hey, come on, and so in January of 21, came into Clubhouse through BWC, and then started cruising around. But you guys with the social media room was right after the Breakfast with Champions room at that time. And so it was a natural progression to go over there. And social media is, as a business person, you need to continue to hone your craft, right? And build and grow. And we talked earlier, social electronics, is not my game. So I'm always trying to learn and expand. And so anyhow, would go into the social media room and loved, initially the bantering and you and Christy Jensen and Alexander and Nate Forrest, and then of course you and Marcus, and then others. And so then you, my dear, now we're probably in March, and I hear you say something like, now there was no such thing as EYA, but I hear you say, well, I'm doing this conference with my Tumblr girls, and I was like, Tumblr girls? And but she's talking, Ashlee, folks, is talking about doing this. Basically, you were starting, as you said, Tupperware, or QVC rather, QVC with tumblers, and your whole essence was to help these others with their growth. That is my really purpose as well, is to help others identify their dreams, goals, and desires, and help them actualize them. So you were building that, but you obviously were doing this conference to help them, interact, but also to grow. But you invited the social media team, or group rather. And so I'm like, and so everyone say, oh, I'm going to come. It's like, I don't even know these people, but I'm going to come too.
Yes.
So it was not called EYA, but I met everyone in real time, and we went out to dinner that Friday night, and But there were so many special moments of that. So many. We could go on and on about it. But with that said, the Tumblr girls were there.
Yeah.
And that was a very special thing to it as well. But also in that piece, here's the Tumblr business and the women that were there. And also you meeting the Marcus and so forth. And so share with our guests, how God used that to then propel you to that next step.
Yeah, I mean, that was so crazy. I felt like God was telling me to put on a conference because I had been speaking on a few stages because of sharing my story and having such a big Facebook. People are always asking me how I grew my Facebook page, right? So I was speaking on stages, I was doing podcasts, and so God was like, I want you to create a conference for them and help, help women with business mindset and faith. And so when I was creating Embrace Your Ambition, even before it had its name, and I was creating this conference in my mind, I was creating it for the women on my page, the women that were on my page, and then the women watching the page. And I never thought that it was going to be like what it is, right? But then I joined Clubhouse. I met Marcus and Alexander, and I asked them to be part of it. And it just kind of morphed into something so big that I wasn't expecting. And I remember the entire time just thinking, I'm the chosen vessel for this, but it's all God's. And wherever He wants to take it, I'm going to allow that to happen. There were many times where I would ask God, like, can I do this? And I would hear Him say, no, but I can. And I would release it. Right. I would surrender, because there were times when we didn't have the finances or this and that. And I would say, God, and I'd hear Him say, surrender. And I'd be like, okay, it's not up to me. Right. And so God kind of took it from what I thought it was supposed to be and to a whole new level where we've brought in Trent Shelton, right, and Tom Coverly and Ryan Griffiths and so many amazing people that have poured into those watching. We bring a lot of faith aspect into it, but combining that business mindset and faith has just taken it so far. And a lot of my women are still with me. I don't do the QVC anymore. That was a really hard conversation to sit and have with these women of like, I feel like Embrace Your Ambition is what I'm meant to do, and retreats are what I'm meant to do, and really, and I want you guys to be part of it, but I can't do the QVC shopping anymore. And that was one of the hardest things I've done. But every one of them were like, one, we knew this would come eventually because we can see how passionate about this you are. And so go for it, and they just loved on me. And that was really cool. And so a lot of them are still with me, and they come to the retreats and come to Embrace Your Ambition just on a different, level. But yeah, it was wild, kind of thinking it was this and it morphing into, I mean, that first one, like what you were talking about, there's a few things that I'll never forget, but one of them is someone came up to me and they said, you should do an altar call. And I was like, that's a good idea. I'll have Marcus do that. And then that night I was praying and I felt God say, it's not supposed to be Marcus, it's supposed to be you. And I said, God, I said the S word on stage yesterday, right? Like, I let that slip out, right? And I've done this and I've made this mistake, and, I'm not this perfect Christian. And He's like, that's why it's supposed to be you. And I thought, okay. And so we did an altar call, and now we do it at every single one. And we've baptized 5 people. We've baptized 5 people. And it's just been incredible. I mean, it is my whole heart. Like truly that. And then the Meant for More retreats for women only, because we do the same thing at the retreats. We pour into each other. We do this really cool event that I can't give away, but it will blow people's mind if you come, because it's weird that women bullied me, and I like have this soft spot for helping women step into their light.
Exactly.
But I do. I do.
So, but you said about, the altar call and the baptism, as well as the, that first one and this is Marcus's story, but the Million Little Miracles and that moment on Sunday. Oh my gosh. It's a moment I will never forget. Absolutely. But you just led into what I wanted to open up, and Angeline will open this if we have guests. But I was just praying about, what to speak to you about that would really touch women and men. And there are a couple things that, I heard, I listened to Pedro Adeo and his Kingdom Challenge, the pretty much every day, the little snippet, and in the morning. And this gentleman made a comment the other day, Ashlee, that sincerity and truth are different. You can be sincerely wrong.
That's good.
Sincerely wrong. Okay.
Yes.
So then that led me to, because truth is truth, and people try to twist that and created to their own, their own perspective, their own relativism, so truth is truth. So I was then looking at the word righteous, okay? And Webster, or the dictionary, says righteousness is the quality of being morally right, okay? Well, you can also twist and turn that. So then I said, well, what does the Bible say about righteousness? And the Bible says in Proverbs that there are two dimensions. Righteousness is who you are, not just what you do. It's not just your actions, it's your heart. And you are a heart girl. And, you can say the S word, you can say a whatever word, whatever, because that's you. It's sincerity versus truth. Well, you are truth. You are truth, right? You walk in your truth. So that's what I love about you. And that's what I wanted people to see with you, because it's that truth of who you are, whose you are, and everything that you just shared is, back to courage. As you said the other day, courage over confidence. But with the experiences, going back to all, as we spoke about, but all of those experiences has built, that courage in you. But through it, you have your confidence, knowing that He is not going to leave you or forsake you.
That's right. Yeah.
Not.
Yeah. One thing that I questioned a lot, like as EYA has kind of grown, and I felt called to start Meant for More, which is like a branch under EYA, but for women only. And so many of them were like, start a Bible study, teach us faith. And I'm thinking, like, I'm not Marcus. I don't know everything. You know what? Like, how am I supposed to do this? And it took a lot to go live for me and pray live and start sharing the word live, because I felt like I didn't know it. But what I've noticed is like that courage and being open about not knowing everything, but knowing that I love God and knowing that I have a relationship with Him. I've been able to bring so many people through the lives to God and that want to just learn more, right? And that's what it's about. So if someone's afraid to share because you feel like you don't know enough, someone's waiting on you. Someone needs you to share it. And that's kind of like, I hold that as like a responsibility for me to go live, for me to step into my light, for me to help other women step into their light. I'm like, now I have a responsibility to do this because God needs it. This world needs it.
Oh, that's an understatement, actually. Yes, an understatement. In the Dallas show, EYA, Trent was there, Trent Shelton, but also Amberly Lago. And, you spoke about back in high school when, you were being attacked by the mean girls and you just didn't understand it. And the slanderous lies that were fake news. Yeah. And so, you said, well, I guess this is what I should do because why not? But anyway, you over time, again, understand that, understood, and can use it for His glory. But I bring up Amberly because it was the first time I heard her speak at EYA. And I mean, I had heard her a little bit on Clubhouse. We had talked back channel a little bit, but because we're both in Texas, or she hadn't moved yet, actually, back to Texas, but she was a Texas girl. And but she was there and she spoke, and it was an intimate room, so I was able to speak to her. And then we connected a bit, and we spoke a bit off and just privately. But she spoke about how with her accident and the chronic pain that she's in, how it spiked alcoholism. And so I have had a challenge with alcohol since I was 13 behind the post office, and it all stems from not having that foundation of who we are. I mean, whatever story there is. And so I know as I know that, I knew as I knew, I should say, that it was time, because if I was going to do His work, really do His work, I could not hold on to that gilded calf, that idol, okay? And so when she came to the BWC, whatever it was called, that Ramon and Trevor Houston did this March, I walked in, and it was in a beautiful space in Dallas. And I walked into the outer area, which they had a photo wall, and it was just very nice. A lot of good windows, a lot of good light. And I walked in, and there she was at the photo wall with some gals, and the Holy Spirit just like almost knocked me down. And I was like this. Now, she's gorgeous and she's fabulous, but it wasn't about that. I heard, it's time. That's what I heard. Because I've been praying about it. I've been praying about it for a while. And so there she was, and she goes, oh, hi, kind of thing. And then I got to talk with her privately. I mean, not privately, but during that weekend. And then I said, may we talk after? And she goes, sure. And so we talked. And basically, I have put it on the Lord's altar. I've surrendered to it. And what is really extraordinary to me, at XYZ age, having done, for all these years, is that by the grace of God, and I mean this, by the grace of God, that like this past weekend, I had a horrific experience with my car, which was okay. I mean, because the Lord was with me. But I got to where I was going. Long story, I'm not going to go there. But the old me would have said, where's the bottle of wine? And I didn't even think about it until after the challenge was over. But I thought to myself, wow, Father, thank you for giving me that new horizon, like that song said, right? And that now I can hone this into my essence and my message, because like you, and this is one of the reasons I'm sharing this, Ashlee, is that you are so open about as the different dynamics, and that's why these people, these women, you just are will continue to reach out to you. Shelley Jean is in Facebook, or she's someplace. I saw her on the thread there, but wish she would come in. But she has a very powerful story. But the more you can be, I don't mean Shelley as well, but that you can be transparent, and you will help others. And so it's so important to let people know. The other quote I had, and I'm not sure who said this, but we're not born with courage, but neither are we born with fear.
That's so good. That's so good. Yeah, fear is something that we've learned, right? We're learning fear. You can learn confidence. You can learn courage. It's just about taking the step out. Carrington was really proud of herself because at camp, she's been at cheer camp. I picked her up today. They told her she was confident, and she was like, how did I get there? Because I've been trying to use courage. Like, we've been instilling her, because she's had a hard couple of years. Courage, courage, courage. And then she finally realized that courage turns into confidence, just like we talked about. And she was so proud of herself. And I mean, that's really what it's about, is even if you're afraid, do it anyway, right? Do it scared. Step out in fear. And you're going to figure it out, because God's got you. If he put it on your heart, he does have you. And I don't know why this is in my head, but I feel like I have to share it. Something that I have told my girls recently is that, because, we talk to them about God, and we talk to them about being open with our faith. And that's why Carrington did that video, because I had talked to her. But before she did that, she got a little nervous. Like, my friends are going to see this. And, and I was telling her, I said, baby, Jesus wasn't just a lamb, right? He was a lion, and he died for us to be lions too. And we've got to be the hands and feet of Jesus. And we can't do that if we don't have that lion, right? And I truly believe, and this is why I'm so passionate about women, and I think men have this too, but I do believe that part of my purpose in life is to help women find their roar, and to help women use that roar for what I believe is the revival happening right now before our eyes. And I think that women in business and women on social media, we've got to use our roar, y'all. It is like time for us to find the lion inside of us and roar.
So, Jana, hello, welcome, welcome. But I want you to, before we open the mic to Jana, I want you to share with our guests about her video. Okay?
Yeah, I love I was so proud of her because she's like, okay, mom, let's do it. After I kind of talked to her about being a lion and having a roar, being firm with our faith and, not letting friends change that or whatever. But she did a little video. She stood outside and she said something along the lines of, people leave Jesus because of bad experiences with religious people, but Jesus had bad experiences with religious people too. In fact, they killed him, because we're really big on this house on, we're Christians, but we're not religious. We're not trying to put old religion on anybody. We're trying to have a relationship with God and teach that to other people. That video is taken off on Instagram. Please go give it some love because it has a lot of haters. And what's funny is that the people writing all this hate, I'm just letting it go and not even really reading much into it, because they're just helping push it out there more. So cool. If you want to come hate on this post, go do it. You're just going to push Jesus out more. It's fine. But it's mind blowing. One, because she's a little girl and there's haters on it talking about, how Jesus isn't real and what have you. But that's part of it too, is, being able to handle the hate.
Right.
And learning that it's okay. Like, I've given it to God, so you can sit here and hate on me all you want, but like, it doesn't affect me. It's not mine.
Right.
So,
but the line, I've read it before, and it is so true. I mean, repeat it, please.
Yeah, I think I might not have it exact, but it said, she said, did you know that most people don't believe in Jesus because they've had a bad experience with religious people? And she said, but Jesus had bad experiences with religious people too. In fact, they killed him. And so, yeah, it's just that's why we really talk about relationship with Jesus instead of religion.
That's right. Yes. So this is a 14-year-old young lady, but yet, Ashlee, she is following your role model. She sees, she hears, and it's that, again, like Proverbs 10 there, that's where that came from. Righteousness is who you are, not just what you do. It's not just your actions. And we're speaking about that, but it's your heart. And that's what they see with you and your husband and what you do, and Marcus and everybody else that they're surrounded by. And they see that it is your heart, that sincerity, not religion, but your heart, and it's just very, very powerful. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm proud of her because, and that was one thing we talked about, is that there's not a lot of kids her age, right, doing those things. And this is one reason she needs to do it. She needs to roar, be the lion, and start this, because they're the future, and if we can get more kids her age putting stuff like this out there instead of shaking their butts on TikTok, I think that would be great. So
I heard I listened to Chuck Pierce, and I often share it on Facebook, so watch for it. But he has he's a prophet, and he's in Corinth, Texas, a little bit north Dallas. And but he was talking, they were talking, but he follows the Hebrew calendar and then ties it together with the New Testament. Anyway, he was talking, he had someone also there this past Sunday, but they were talking about Gen Z and how, the dark wants to, just steal this generation. And that, but yet, as they've been taking this message out to churches, Chuck and his team, that how these kids, meaning her age, are just responding to it because they're basically deep in the heart of their hearts. They know it's wrong, and they want to speak truth. What I said earlier, right? Sincerely versus truth, right? Right?
Yes, absolutely. And here's the thing, like you said, they know it's wrong. What they need is a few of them stepping forward. Right? And that's what I was telling Carrington. And it's going to take a lot of courage, whoever those first ones are. But I do think it can start something. I mean, just like they know that they're doing something wrong.
Yes. And that's where that revival, like you said. So Ms. Jana, do you know Ashlee Branstetter? Why don't you unmute and
I
join?
do.
Good,
Hi,
good, good.
Ashley.
Hi,
I
Jana.
haven't met her personally, but we keep bumping into each other. So I'm beginning to think God has something to do with this.
Yes, Jana's one of my Mint for More girls. So she's in my Mint for More membership, and she got to attend EYA virtually. But next year she's coming.
Yeah, I am. I'll be there in person.
Yes, she got her ticket. We're ready.
I already got my ticket.
So isn't it interesting though, Jana, you come in often to the deep dive, Propel deep dive,
I know.
and here is Miss Ashlee.
Here's
So
that. That's what I mean. It's like, this is so weird because this is the second night in a row. Because I was just on yours last night.
Mm-hmm.
oh
So,
wow, wow,
yeah, and I keep running into her. So it's like, I pay attention to those signs from God.
exactly.
I
So
mean, I don't have a business and I can't do anything with my hand. Well, I can play the piano, but
That's
I
pretty
mean, as far
awesome.
as creative work, not so good. But, I must be good. I mean, I am asking God. I mean, I'm retired and
mhm.
certainly don't want to go back to what I was doing. So, but I'm really interested in starting a business on my own. And that's why I'm in these groups because I'm just learning and listening.
So Jana, I'm going to challenge you to come into. Well, oh, you're in the West Coast though. You're in the West. You're in Washington State, correct?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I challenge you to join me tomorrow at 8 a.m., but that's way too early for you. But with,
Why? Let's see, that would be 5 o'clock my time.
okay,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
yes.
What's this challenge about?
Well, it's again, what we've been talking for weeks here, start your, about propelling your business in life with my 5 non-negotiables. And that Ashlee and I spoke on Tuesday on BWC, Breakfast with Champions, with the C of courage. And then we continue on, like I had Sue Phillips last week. So basically they join me on Breakfast with Champions in my weekly room, and then I invite them over to the deep dive. But what you're asking, I have a program, and it's really designed for you. Now, this challenge is at no charge, so you can come on. But tomorrow's the last day. I've been on every day.
Oh,
That's okay. But you can listen to the replays on YouTube all the weekend, and then they will come off. But
oh,
and there is a VIP, but that's a whole other thing. But the point is, I do have a program too called Propel Your Business and Life Activation Program. It's a 10-week program, and then there's a mastermind. So I've designed this for really, like you're saying, and as I'm listening to Jana, and we're talking, I shared a little bit about my journey personally. God is opening doors to all of us. Like you said,
right.
about Carrington and the younger gals, but it's never too late, Jana. Meaning,
No, I know that. And the thing is, too, is I think God has me right where He wants me
yes,
because
that's what
I'm
I'm
a,
saying.
I'm
Yes.
just a young Christian. I mean, I just picked up the Bible, 3 years ago, and the only reason why I did was because it was during COVID. I was bored out of my mind because there was nobody intelligent to talk to. And I knew my neighbor was in a Bible study group, and I went, oh, a book club.
Mhm.
And so that's how it all started. And then I just fell in love with God, period. And
Just
so
here.
I've been asking Him about a business, but He keeps saying to me, you have you have a lot of things to work on still. And so that's fine. And so, but I keep going into these groups and so I can just do my networking and get to know people and see what everybody else is doing.
Well, you have a lot of work to do, he said, to get to know him, to have that intimacy with God. And he then will reveal, because it's that still, quiet, small voice that will speak and guide you exactly. But hang around with Ashlee and I and everyone else that we hang around with, and you will continue to grow and learn and glean from what you're doing, exactly what you're doing. By the way, Angeline just put up on the screen the link to the Propel 5-day challenge. But
Okay.
okay, but you can, you, do you get my daily
Yeah.
inspiration?
Oh, I love them.
Okay, so
Yeah.
in those also, though, she'll put the link in that tomorrow. She has done it in the last couple of weeks, but she'll
Okay.
put it in tomorrow. And just go, because you can then listen to all 5 days. It's just, but it is going into these C's, clarity, courage, confidence, commitment, and compassion. So
Well,
you will,
I think what God's doing with me right now, He's given me lots of courage, and I really need it. Um, and so I just all of these things are happening to me right now, and so it's wonderful, and it's all because that I have gotten out of that fear zone and willing to step out and go, you can do this. I mean, or he'll say to me, how do you know you're not able to do it? You haven't even tried.
exactly. It's taking that first step.
Hmm.
And third step will be revealed to you, but you have to have clarity. And that's what he means by you need a little bit more time with me, I think. To
Hmm.
get that clarity of where you are clear on that step and where you're going to go. And so
Hmm.
you're gaining that, Jenna,
Hmm.
I know, Ashley, I can't see this beautiful woman on the lower left's name, or maybe it's not there. Is there a name there?
I don't see a name
No.
either.
Okay. Hello, hello. If you'd like to unmute and say hello.
Hi. Oh, are you talking to me? I'm Pamela Duran.
That's what I thought. I
Yeah.
thought it was Pamela. I just didn't want to say that and not you too.
No,
Good
I love the verse, Ashley, you had above your head. They that wait upon the Lord shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. I love that, and I was trying to watch on Facebook and comment. I'm like, I can't comment. I just got to get on. It don't matter. I know I don't look my best tonight, but I'm like, it's just such an empowering conversation. I love it. I am growing so deeper in the Lord. And I love it, Jana, that you're a new Christian diving in and you've got that yearning, that drawing. God is just drawing you and directing you, and you're just
Yes.
sitting in that such a sweet place. And I'm just happy to be here. Thank you, Megan, for bringing me on stage. And so nice to meet you, Ashley. I love what you're doing. I haven't heard of you, your mission before, but I think, are you joining Tony and Dean in August? Or no?
What did you
Okay.
ask? What did you ask, Pamela?
I thought she may be joining Tony and Dean. They're having an event in August. So I thought I heard you talking about that. Maybe you were talking about joining somebody else, but I just caught it right when I signed on. So,
Well, just stay tuned because she does a lot of events. So, with Marcus and her own retreats and all of that. So just stay tuned.
okay.
Because there'll be lots coming. And
Yeah, we have lots. I mean, EYA, we're working on Arizona and Tampa in the fall. My next Meant for More retreat is in September. I have 2 spots left, y'all. 2 spots left. And then I MC a lot, which I love. I'm about to head to Phoenix. Oh my gosh, in 2 weeks. I should probably get my plane ticket to MC a Christian Business Alliance event there. So super excited.
lot of exciting things. And,
Yeah.
the other thing, Jana and Pamela and Brian, hello, is that, like you said, Jana, here you've been following Ashlee, and then here I am, and God is knitting and purling all of this together. I've been to every EYA except for the last one, and that was only because I had a previous commitment. But with that said,
Unreal.
God is really. And I actually went, but we talked about this earlier tonight, to the first one, and it wasn't called EYA. It was the maiden voyage of it all.
Yeah.
So it's all evolving, and it's all for the glory of God, for the kingdom of God. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things, Jana, will be given unto you.
Yeah.
All things, yes. So Brian, hello, good evening.
Good evening. How are you, Megan?
I'm good. So glad to see you. Do you know Ashlee Branstetter?
I do. I have also seen her on Zoom before. I've never attended an EYA event. Haven't been able to break outside of New Jersey, but I would be willing to, as I had mentioned in a post last month when I wrote that goal of bringing Clubhouse to New Jersey Expo Center. EYA could be included in that.
That would be awesome.
Yes, it would be, Ashley.
Yeah.
It would be a good location because people from Long Island, the tri-state area, it's a very good central type of location. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the New Jersey Expo Center is right in my town.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know that there's been Clubhouse meetups at expos in other states, including New York, but we've had nothing in New Jersey. So.
Yeah, I mean, our goal, it's cool. At the last EYA, one thing that y'all didn't get to see that we're virtual, unfortunately, because we kind of keep our VIP under wraps. But I'm sure you probably saw some videos. We wrote on a board what we want, to accomplish, and then we broke through it. We all karate chopped through it, and every single one of us got through it. It was very cool. But on the back, on my board, it said that in 2024, we want EYA in a different state every month. So like, that's the goal, is to be in a different state, pour into people, and then do a service for the community, some kind of mission trip within that community every single month. So we're trying to get that calendar going.
Well, he would be a great person to speak behind the scenes with, because Brian is very philanthropic, in the community as well. So that would be, and Barbara Majeski, she's not too far from you, right, Brian?
That's right. And I happened to be in her town on Tuesday for a networking event. It was sort of a last minute decision, so that's why I didn't reach out to her to see if she could come. But I was in her town in Princeton for a networking event that was around 120 people.
That's great.
And I unexpectedly met a TEDx talker who spoke with my Rotary Club during the pandemic on Zoom. So we got to make the real life connection there. So I felt really blessed by that.
Mm-hmm. Well, Brian, you're probably one of your best fans. Every time you come on to the Propel Deep Dive, Brian just got a promotion, having been a director of marketing for his company. And he's been there 14 years, is that correct? Or 17 years?
Yeah, it's been about 14 and a half years.
And he's a gold star on, that's not the right term, but I'll use it anyway, on LinkedIn and other, he's just, the bottom, when I think of you, Brian, and I see your lives, what the word I think of is commitment and consistent. You are just committed to what you do and you're consistent at it. And that's one of the C's, the commitment that we did today. But you are just, there's no doubt in my mind that, because you're speaking it into existence, that there will be, and I'm going to speak this out, there'll be an EYA there, because you will assist Ashlee and Marcus to do this. So there's no doubt in my mind. And it is a good location to do it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to connect, Brian. I know we've connected a little bit, but.
Yeah, because I can.
Yes.
And so how are you? I mean, so the first week in your new position, did it go well?
Yeah, this is actually now my second week in that position. The first was last week. I just, I waited until after the 4th of July to announce it because I didn't want it to interfere with that. So that's why I waited until last weekend. And when I could have enough energy to deal with or to look at all the comments, which I relish in seeing. So I couldn't believe how much reach I got on that one Facebook post.
Love you because you are just special. You have overcome many, many, many obstacles. You continue to. And as Ashlee and I have been speaking about tonight, you have a light inside you, and people see that, admire you, your courage, your confidence, your commitment, and your compassion for yourself, because you really give yourself compassion. You give yourself that grace. You do. It's.
And I love it. So great, Brian. I just wanted to pop in real quick because we are at the top of the hour and I wanted to get a picture while we have all of us here. 1, 2, 3, smile.
My glasses off.
Megan, you're beautiful with them, with or without them, but I got it. Thank you so much. What an amazing conversation, Brian. I'm always so proud of you. Pamela, I know that you were messaging me or saying I was trying to do the Facebook messaging, but you're like, let me pop in. So glad to see your face, Jana. Always a pleasure having and honor having you here. I'm so excited for whatever the Lord has in your path because I know it's going to be great. And your support and just showing up just shows that you're already taking those steps. So I love that you're part of Ashlee's Meant for More group as well. And then being part of the Propel community is amazing. Megan, I'll leave it back to you, but I just wanted to pop in and get that picture.
Well, I do want to I have a favor to ask you, Angela. You probably heard me, but would you put in the tomorrow's daily, Propel Daily, the link to go to the this 5-day challenge?
Yes, for the challenge, you're going to go to propel.megandimartino.com/challenge. I will drop that link across the screen.
But would you put it in the,
Yeah, and I took a screenshot.
Yeah,
Okay.
But if
perfect.
you could
Awesome.
send it to me so I can press on the link to get in.
Yeah, I will send the hyperlink to everyone in the community that's part of here as well.
Thank you.
Great.
So we had earlier Vivian in the room. It looks like she had to drop off before I pulled everyone up. And Patricia was also in the room with us earlier. So thank you, ladies, for coming through. If you watch the replay, Patricia Cosmiz, and then Vivian, I'm not sure your last name. We have some viewers on Facebook. Shelly Jean's always coming through saying hello. She says, it's always a pleasure to hear, Brian. I love your posts, Brian. They're amazing.
Mom's busy.
Hi, Ashlee's child. Listen, my
Go ask your dad.
does the same thing. Every time I'm on video, they feel like that's the perfect time to come ask me a question.
100%.
Then they like sneak in the video somehow just because they want to see themselves. It's kind of funny.
Like, I'm like, go ask your dad. He's right there. Dad is right there.
Daddy's right there. Oh no, it happens every single time I go live. I even have this light. I don't actually have it on now because it doesn't work. As far as hey kids, when this pink light's on, don't bother mommy. And I stopped using it because they don't listen.
She's like the worst. She'll always peek in and be like she's so she's so outgoing. She has sung on every EYA stage. Like she loves the microphone. At the last one, she kept saying, "Mom, can I have the microphone now?" And I'm like, "Not yet, okay."
So good.
Yes,
I love it.
The lights, but she knows the right light.
Yes,
so she will follow that right light. So Ashlee, before we say goodnight, would you like to share anything that you know about this evening, about Tuesday, about in general, about what you're doing? Anything would you like to share?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super grateful, Megan, that you asked me to come. I think you're amazing. And Angeline, I think you're so amazing. I'd love to get to know you more too. I know we got to meet once, but I feel blessed to be here and to get to share my story. And I know everyone has a story. And all I can say to you is have courage. It takes 5 seconds of courage to change your life. And it's when you get like a God prompting, that's what I call that little feeling in my heart, right? When God tells me to do something, you've got to say yes to it. You have to say yes, because that second thought that comes in, that's from the enemy. He'll tell you all the reasons why you can't do it. He'll tell you all the reasons why you're not enough and why you're not worthy and why you shouldn't put yourself out there. But that first thought, that's from God. And there's a reason that he's given it to you. And there's a super quick story I want to share really, really fast. So, and I always think of this. Can I do? Okay.
No,
I always think about this when I'm thinking about when I get a God prompting in my heart and I'm thinking, should I do this? So there's this story. I don't remember what book I read it on long, long time ago. I'm a reader and I read a book every week. So this is 100,000 books ago, but it has stuck with me. So there's this woman and She was walking out the door she worked at a church, to go to the church. And for whatever reason, she felt a God prompting to put fuzzy socks in her bag. And she thought, why would I ever do that? That is the weirdest thing in the world. However, she was used to saying yes to what God was telling her to do. So she grabbed fuzzy socks on her way out. Well, when she got to the church, there was a prostitute sitting on the steps who had no shoes on, and it was cold outside. And she said, I'm here because I want to accept Jesus. I've done all the wrong things. And she's like, I'm so cold. All I've been praying for right now is fuzzy socks. And the woman took them out of her purse. And it's a true story. And you just think, like, my goodness, like those little things, like you get this urge to pay for someone's meal behind you, or pay for someone's groceries, or just call someone that you haven't talked to in such a long time, and you could change things for them. And so I just want y'all to follow your God promptings. Because saying yes to God promptings has changed my life 360, just by saying yes to the God promptings and not allowing that second thought of the enemy to affect that. Once I say yes, like, it's go time, it's on, let's go.
Well, there's no time limit to this. I mean, sometimes it'd go on to 8:30 or 9:30, whatever it is. So Angeline was just being, respectful of our time and your time. But that is the bottom line, what you just shared there. It's about, and that's what I share, Jana Yest, so many of those God promptings that in this Propel and in all of my stories, because I have a lot of stories, because of a lot of years of doing what I've done. But most importantly is that God is using those, just as he's using Ashlee and her story, very compelling, very heartfelt, and very, very meaningful to she. But every step of the way, just like you shared on your Facebook Live, that's why you're resonating with people, Brian, because people hear your sincerity, hear your heart. It's not what you do, it's your heart. It means people will read through it and see through it, rather. And so it's incumbent upon us to just continue to read the word like you're doing, Jana, and learning and growing, but trusting him and leaning on him, and those heart promptings. And it will just lead you to that next step. So Ashlee, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And
thank you.
Really enjoyed this. And so I will talk to you soon, girl. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Seeing you, Ashlee.
You
I
too.
love the story. The story about your mom that made me cry. I'm sitting here like crying.
I did a business conference a couple of weeks ago, and I always try, like, my business conference was all about how to use connection to grow your business, right? And so at the very end of it, I shared a story about my mom, and everyone was crying, and I was like, you see the connection, like how we just, and it was just it was cool. I put a puzzle piece under everyone's thing and did this whole puzzle thing. Anyway, but it was just funny being at a business conference and like everyone, including myself, we were all just crying. It's just one of those, get you. I know.
Well, God uses every little piece like a puzzle piece. He uses every little piece, and we're all special to him in every way. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me tonight, and really appreciate you all. Thank you.
Really appreciate you too, Megan, a lot. So,
good night, love.
Good night, you guys.
See
Have
you
a good night.
See you next week.
See you next week.